kind of siege heavy kind of play style, and that's not something that a lot of these teams do opt into, but you saw a good execution of it, and maybe that was a little bit surprising simply because you look at this team and you say, look, they're not a bot side focused team. You see Cold Feet put on Ashe, you see him put on utility carries. Yeah, Nova executed that perfectly.
Yeah. So maybe adding a couple more threats. Speaking of a couple more threats too, the Kalista ban is a 2-ban approach here on the side of Machi as we load on into draft. Banning that one away from Cold Feet possibly, but also Rocky, who brought it out yesterday, and the Syndra ban immediately towards Mission.
Yeah, Kalista making melee top laners' lives hell at the moment, but also being very, very dominant in lane phase for bot side, and that would be a champion that you can leave in isolation with the support while you play exclusively for your solo lanes as Ryan. Speaking of Ryan though, I'd like to see his pool targeted out a bit. You've seen him pretty much default to just Graves and Trundle with a fullback J4 if need be. Think about this jungler of Nova, just what you can do with his pool if you are Machi.
Well, I think Nova, though, they've taken a page out of the PSG Talon social media book. They always meme every time they go up against Machi, let's just 3-ban Mission. It seems that's going to be the case as you have a Syndra, now Zoe, as well as the Orianna being banned away from the mid lane. So Mission going to have to kind of dig a little bit down, but that does mean, hey, is Bruce actually going to, for once, pick up Varus? This has been one criticism that we have always had about the bot lane of Machi, and it does get locked in.
Yeah, here's a Varus for LeBlanc trade, I believe, just because with Zoe and Syndra and Orianna all hitting the bench, it does leave that power pick open. Nova here, we're basically saying, look, you either take LeBlanc or you take Varus, we'll take the other one, plus a jungler of our choosing.
And then that would allow G4 to also act as a pretty assistant, being able to assist Ryan when it comes to the Rones, or they just throw that completely out the table and just go ahead and pick up the Senna for the bot lane.
Okay. I guess that's a kind of pick into the Varus, because you basically don't play the lane phase. Depends on what they pair with it. We've seen Senna Soraka, which is fairly easily gankable, but with Rocky being Rocky, he makes the enemy jungler come top 2, so that would be a fairly safe lane. Or you could just run it with a more bruiser-heavy melee support.
Possibly, with that set getting locked in, that of course is a pretty much a 3-way flex if they want to. Could be run down the bot lane. We've also seen Ryan use it in jungle. Not usually a champ Rocky has played up toward the top side of the map, but still would not be out of the question. Now for Machi though, you have the ability, if you want to, get this Wukong. If you want to get Mission, one of those, key mid laners still available that has a lot of aggression, could go with something like that LeBlanc, or you just want to try and match out this bot lane and try and get your Thresh.
Yeah, so the Wukong being that hotly contested pick between both top laners here, I believe most play champion for PK and Rocky. It's good. It's fairly solid blind pick, of course. It does kind of struggle into some of the more harass-centric top lane picks, but you've banned out the Kalista already, the Mordekaiser's gone, and honestly, I think that this is probably the best case scenario for PK here, assuming that Gemini doesn't take that pick into the jungle.
Do see this though. Now it is going to be Ryan on his Nidalee. It's been a little bit since we got to see him be aggressive from the jungle. I think we only saw it during week 1 of the summer split, making its round back all the way to the last day here in week 3. And we'll get that locked in for Nova, so he has a bit of aggression coming from the jungle.
And with Azir hitting the bench here, it does mean that LeBlanc and Galio are probably your 2 highest priority mid lane picks. I guess the team that wants to trend into LeBlanc doesn't want to risk facing off against the Galio right away, and now you're seeing just some counters to the Wukong being banned out, and that does mean we're likely to see PK take that champion towards the top lane.
All right.
Yeah, 5-ban mission.
5-ban mission, and then first pick the LeBlanc on this rotation. Is that the key to success? Is that how you finally shut down this mid laner? But like you mentioned, could always just fall back onto a Galio, which, all honesty, pair that up with a Wukong, it's not looking all that half bad for Machi still.
Yeah, I genuinely think that Wukong Galio is the new Camille Galio, the new J4 Galio, these kind of comps that kind of broke the meta when Galio was first reworked. I think it would facilitate the Nidalee going deep for some crazy invades as well. And honestly, Nova have picked the litter now, even if the litter is very, very trimmed down.
Did you just happen to mention Camille? And Nova, like, by just somehow just happened to know what you said and now have decided to bring out the first Camille. of the summer split.
I mean, okay. And I guess into TF, you just run the Galio. Could also run LeBlanc, though. LeBlanc, of course, has tended to just completely destroy TF back in the day. Since, I believe, since inception. Like, that's always been very, very scary matchup there. That being said, though, TF, of course, much easier way around the map and much better at forcing hard engages where need be.
All right, final pickup, though, for Machi. It is going to be this Lee Sin for Gemini in the jungle as the answer to Ryan on this Nidalee. Now we get to finally answer our question. What is going where here on the side of Nova? Are we going to see the mid lane get picked up? Are we going to see the support set with that Senna down in that bot lane? Or are we just going to get more questions be asked, as that's also now going to be the Maokai getting locked in? Where is your damage on the side of Nova is what I'm stressing here, especially in the early mid game.
Okay, so it's a set mid, Nidalee jungle, Maokai Senna bot lane, and a Camille top, you have to imagine. And that's fine, I suppose. In an ideal world, you play side lanes with the Camille later on when she's scaled up. The set can also go for a bit of side lane wander as well, and then just rotate around the map with the Nidalee. The issue is for Nova that TF and Lee Sin both move around the map a little bit faster than the Nidalee. Of course, TF having the instant teleport somewhere, it's a little bit clumsy. And Nova, they don't have a strong 5v5. Rather, they're playing more of a map-centric kind of style. And I'm not sure if I necessarily agree with it.
I don't know. This is a much different setup now coming out of Nova. We always talk about, hey, you know, Rocky's going to get a bunch of pressure applied to him up toward the top side map, a lot of resources funneled into him, and then he'll carry. Well, this is very much a team that's like, all right, we're all going to just kind of group all together. We're going to hope Ryan kind of gets going because he needs to kind of be that main AP damage as well for the rest of the squad, that main damage threat as far as Magic goes. This is just such a different composition from Nova. I just don't know how to feel about it right now.
Yeah, definitely will be pretty telling, especially because we paint this picture of Nova playing exclusively for topside. They have a bot lane they can leave in isolation, the Maokai Senna. They have a mid lane that's actually... honestly, it's weird for me, because Set, if he connects the little hook, the little pull, very easy to gank for. Yeah, if he misses that, you got nothing. Nidalee has no CC. It's a really, really difficult ask, and they need to punish a TF that's going to be notoriously difficult to lock down.
Yeah, because in most cases, too, that Twisted Fate should be nowhere near the set to be in range of the Facebreaker unless they flashes on forward. So I'm a little bit concerned how G4 is going to be able to really do anything in this mid lane. I feel like he's just going to get harassed a bunch, and we'll see whether or not he's able to return that. Also, top lane, we get to see a Camille. It's been a little bit. I think Rocky did play it once or twice back in spring to decent effect. This time around, though, I don't know how well that plays up into a Wukong, at least in lane. So we get to see a little bit of some variety here in Week 3.
Yeah, and the thing I'm actually really hyped for right now is the fact we finally see Bruce on the Varus. Will he perform and, you know, show that teams should ban against him? Or are we just going to see why this team didn't trend into it multiple times?
For sure. And we'll get ourselves... Apologies. I was almost dying there for a quick sec.
Oh, good.
We'll be getting ourselves into game. I just got word that we had ourselves a bit of an issue loading on in, so I think we're just going to quickly remake and then get ourselves set and ready. Of course, this is Machi's first game of the day. You're going to be playing another one up against AHQ, and I'll be frank, they're going up against, you know, two of the mid-pack teams now that if they want to be contenders, to be in the contention, to be up in that top, to be in that group of teams that PSG themselves even say they expect Machi to be a threat when it comes to them trying to win the championship here in summer. You got to be able to take these games, especially against Nova and HQ, pretty heavy-handedly.
Yeah, Machi pretty unique as a roster as well, given the fact that they're one of the few that we saw not make a single roster change heading into summer. They said, look, we were one game away from winning spring. Yeah, it was kind of unfortunate that we fell the way we did, but we believe we've got that extra split of experience beneath our belt. No honeymoon period necessary. We're just gonna roll with that advantage. Like, you look at PSG, they've added tank. That's a change that the top team is making. And now you're looking at Machi, who have kept the same roster. No one really, you know, stands out immediately as being, like superstar talent, but at the same time, they've got the synergy. They're together as a whole. And honestly, I think if they can pick up the slack here, it's a really, really good way to indicate that they were right to keep that synergy going.
Yeah, you take a look here at the standings. That would be, again, it's our battle of 3rd and 4th if Machi and HQ were to fight right now. Machi actually could look to try and tie, at least as far as wins go, with Taipei J-Team as well as PSG. PSG and J-Team, though, still have a game in hand, so they could always, again, open up a little bit of a gap there. Nova's kind of in that weird spot right now. They have the lone 6th place when it comes to the standings, currently 3-3, on a bit of a win streak, at least at the moment, trying to go for a 3-0 weekend, and with that, it would actually bump them just underneath Machi in the standings. So there's still the potentiality here for Nova to continue climbing up, especially, after talking to G4 when we're doing a little bit of a photo shoot alongside the Thai talent from the Thai broadcast. He felt confident that his team could get into the top 4. They want to seek that top 4 and be a contender when it comes to playoffs.
Yeah, definite possibility that this Nova lineup can, at least break into the top side of the table. And I don't know if that's Nova being super strong or, our expectations for the rest of the board just being completely either subverted or just taken out of the picture entirely. Because coming into the split, looking at our power rankings, looking at any kind of prediction we made, no one expected J-Team this high. No one expected AHQ plus Machi to struggle like the way they did, even if they are in a good position now. HKA also overperforming, you'd consider. And honestly, I think the Nova are in an absolutely fine position to make at least a convincing case for the top 4.
Well, we're going to have to see whether or not they're going to be able to maintain clean games like we saw yesterday, or, are they going to start to see them falter a little bit here? As, again, still just waiting in for us to load onto the lobby, and then we'll get ourselves set and loaded onto the Rift. It's fine, because we just wanted to get some story time with you. What were your thoughts on the action so far that you were able to catch earlier on today at the PCS?
Earlier on today, I know that we kind of we kind of did the Ballad of Sadness for Resurgence yesterday.
True.
Unfortunately,
I will admit they did look a lot better here in the first game of the day. A little bit more proactive. Comp made a little bit more sense, but yes, you were alongside with me for what was the least proactive game of League of Legends I think I've ever watched in the last couple of years, but at least they're showing signs of improvement. I even talked to Jensen over on Twitter, and he said, you know what? Only way now is up from here, because he said it can't get any worse. That was his own words there, and I'm going to hold him to that.
And as well as that, just looking at PSG again, knocking down Bajaya, saying, look, that was fairly clean from what I remember as well. And of course, Kaiwing having a decent performance there was very promising for a team that we said, made only the slightest roster change heading into summer, but it looks like enough to really, put them back at the top of the standings once they've got a little bit more synergy under their belts.
Yeah, I'm actually interested, what the situation's going to be with PSG. Are we going to see actually Tank kind of become the main starter, as he now got both starts here during Week 3? We didn't get to see any bit of Candy, so I think it's rather interesting that, PSG, like we mentioned, they were already spring champions, and they decided, hey, we need to make an improvement and try and be able to remain competitive both within the PCS as well as maybe starting to set their eyes toward the international stage.
Yeah, definitely do have to take it into consideration that you are looking to make a splash. Yes, first round robin is not super crucial, but definitely a good place to rack up at least a couple of wins heading into the second round robin, and eventually playoff seeding, and eventually world seeding.
Yeah, you want to try and get yourself ready, locked and loaded, as again, it appears that we are just in limbo, so we'll be hopefully getting into our game here quite shortly. Again, this is our 4th game of the night. Nova going to be taking on Machi. And a quick refresher, too, if you guys are just tuning on in, we saw J-Team take home the victory over Hong Kong Attitude. And like Abriz also mentioned, a pretty heavy-handed victory for PSG talent over Burjai, which I think was much needed, considering we had some kind of questions about PSG after Week 2's performance, where they did drop to HK. Was it just them having a bad game? Did they just kind of get out-drafted? Or are they just going to go ahead and kind of refocus themselves, reset their sights on that championship?
In their defense, I think that every team this split has had a bad game, at least one. Some of them have had 6. No flame there.
Okay.
Yeah, genuinely, I think that it's a solid position to be in. I'm also looking later on in the day towards AHQ versus Machi because we saw a different AHQ entirely versus, well, honestly, I was going to say they look better against teams at a similar level to them than they did against bottom tier teams, but then you look at yesterday, you look at their game versus Liab from last week, they smashed Resurgence, and then they got kind of just taken apart by Liab.
Which is just weird to say.
You never really know which HQ you're going to get.
Exactly.
So,
And this is still an HQ that's still kind of trying, I guess, find their footing with the addition of Leaky in the top lane. I believe, Civ is still not starting for today if I double check the rosters there. So, it's still them trying to, kind of refocus themselves, even though they themselves kind of feel like their team is kind of similar to how they play, and they don't think that, Civ and Leaky have much of a difference. Maybe just a little bit of veteranship in the voice, but that's pretty much it, they say.
Yeah, absolutely. Really going to be very telling for HQ if the rest of the roster can step up in Ziv's absence. Leaky playing fine individually, as we touched on before, but we're talking about HQ. I want to tell you more about Nova versus Machi, because Nova coming away with 2 victories yesterday, very much a big surprise. I cast neither of those, so you're the man with the insight there.
Well, are you saying that you might be like, it might be just that Riku's the lucky charm for Nova, possibly? Who knows? We have to see. Again, I truly did feel like that. We'll just take a look back to how that game kind of panned out. I think it's just they're able to play through their solo lanes. We've always mentioned for Nova, they've always been able to find advantages and look rather confident if they're able to have themselves a rather good early game. And hell, I even think to say that, we don't see as many resources being thrown into Rocky anymore. He's become a bit more self-sufficient in his lane and able just to find advantages and usually just find a really good matchup.
Yeah, definitely do have to consider that they do have a bit of dynamic going for themselves, and yeah, well, looking at the rosters here again, looking at the champ selected, Opal.
Champ select, we're good to go though. This graphic only comes up for one thing, and that's when we're loading on into Rift. Pause has been sorted out, so let's get ourselves set, locked, and loaded. Nova looking to tie up here with Machi and try and contend toward the top of the standings. Machi looking to see if they can make their climb and tie up in wins against PSG and JT as we go ahead and load on into the Rift.
Welcome to Summoner's Rift.
And already, Nova trying to get themselves a quick invade, at least get some vision down onto the red buff. So it seems like they really want to know where Gemini is starting here on the map. Want to keep track of where this Lee Sin is going around.
Yeah, always a good indication to get here, especially since Nidalee, while she can outduel and kill the Lee Sin early, very much dependent on getting the drop on him there, because if you just take a straight up skirmish, suddenly Conqueror is stacked, suddenly you're taking a Sonic Wave to the face, and suddenly Ryan will probably not be having the greatest of times here. Pleasantly surprised to see him on a carry jungler, by the way.
Yeah, we get to see him back on a Nidalee, which it's been a little bit. Usually Ryan, especially back in spring, he was kind of the Sejuani bot when it came to Nova in particular. Always would run that pretty much 1 out of 2 games when Nova was playing. This time gets to be on a bit more carry, gets to have a bit more impact, and especially this game where they lack all, pretty much, he is the magic damage when it comes to this squad. You need him to do well.
Mechanical Prodigy, Thai, Superstar, Bot Laner, Golden Feet. Playing Maokai. Not even the Senna.
What? Okay.
Alright. Yeah, no, I see it. By the way, speaking of Senna, this is the archaic build. This is the out-of-date build. This is the build we don't see anymore with the Glacial Augment. Typically, you will see Senna's opt for Grasp, rushing out the Frozen Mallet nowadays. But I guess this time around, Pop saying, look, I want to focus on the pick potential. I really just want to get as much CC down as possible to compensate for the fact that our jungler doesn't have any.
Maybe that's the plan.
All right.
Maybe that's the plan. I still have a good laugh there. I didn't notice that on the graphic as we loaded in that it's Golden Feet on the Maokai. So, you know what? Maybe he just wanted to play as a tree for a little bit. All right. Sometimes you need some therapeutic Maokai League of Legends, where you just kind of sit in lane and throw saplings all day. I want to say though, this top lane, I haven't seen the new Wukong matchup into a Camille. So, especially with Rocky on a Camille that he loves to play hyper aggressive with.
Yeah, so Rocky shoving this in. It's what Camille really does when she gets W at level 1. Trading back and forth with the grasp as well. It's fine. You get a little bit of priority there. Wukong at 2 items can fight the Camille, but after 2 items can't fight the Camille anymore. There's like a really
like a
small sweet spot. Yeah.
Small little window that it can actually go for a 1v1, and then once he gets like 2.5 items, like, okay, no, never mind.
Yeah, pretty much. We looked at top lane though, and I want to tell you about the bot lane, because if Pop ever soaks a Varus Q, it's half of the Senna's health.
And already some decent damage coming out there. Channeling, piercing arrow is going to be locked down, forcing out the flash from Golden Feet as he wants to get himself back to safety.
I believe Golden Feet actually flashed out of the heal range there, or maybe it actually did connect, but either way, underwhelming. I believe they could have saved either the heal or the flash, could have been communicated a little bit better there. End of the day though, Nova, okay, they're on the back foot. We kind of expected this. They're running melee plus Senna into Varus Thresh.
Yeah, and when you had like options like, you know, the Aphelios available, or, you know, if you wanted to go Ashe once again for Golden Feet, like a little bit more of what the traditional we would expect in this bot lane, considering the fact that, you know, we just haven't really seen, especially this, because usually Pop is the one that plays the Maokai, or the melee support when it is the Senna matchup. So I'm still decently confused, because Mixcross actually back in spring would happily play Senna, so he's not unused to it. Ooh, that's a rather aggressive invade coming out here from Machi as Ryan's being pushed back on the back foot. G4 tried to roam from mid, but not able to do a whole lot here. Mission already roaming before he gets level 6 on Twisted Fate.
Yeah, Mission's roam there was super, super good. And we have some trade for PK.
Gets himself back to safety. Flash for a flash here as the Wukong isn't able to finish off the kill. And all right, this ain't looking too swell here for Nova if Rocky's already being pushed back to base.
Yeah, so the Camille does struggle early. As we mentioned before, just very much a late game champion. Should be able to take it to the Wukong after this first base though, and really, you know, get on the board in terms of pressure. You saw how levels 1 through 3 were going for Rocky. That being said though, yeah, credit to PK. He's putting up some big carry performances.
Meanwhile, mid lane, Ryan gets himself the spear, but Mission's able to interrupt the damage by throwing down the gold card, and that does allow G4 to get himself back to safety. And yeah, we're kind of interested in this matchup too, because it's pretty much just G4 trying to soak up as much of the wave as he can, and then try and survive whatever onslaught Mission's throwing out of him with that Twisted Fate.
Machi now just continuing to farm it up across pretty much every lane. They have a good wave building down bot side, could coordinate that into a dive. Now the TF is 6, now that you have Lee Sin kind of unlocked as well. Really going to be interesting to see whether or not they choose to punish the flashless Maokai, or even the Senna, who, even though she does have flash, is very, very squishy.
Realizing, though, that they can just go ahead and try and get dragon pressure. It does look like Gemini is going to sneak this one over the wall. Now he's going to show that the bot lane's roaming over. Now Thresh just going down and putting down a control ward. There you go. First dragon of the game. Going to go over to Machi here. So kind of on pace for where they want to be. And we'll see who's going to be able to strike first on the map here, as we still have yet to have any action in the first 6.5 minutes.
Yeah, you see the bot lane just continually pushing for Machi here. We said they could coordinate a dive, but they could just continue to apply the pressure, keep this Maokai down. You see the 24, about 3-4 waves. CS lead currently building for the Varus in the bot lane. To be expected, it's double range versus Senna Maokai, so yeah, but at the same time, not a good position for the Nova bot lane to be in, especially considering that the rest of the map isn't looking too hot either.
Yeah, only thing really going right now is Ryan, and he does have now level 6. Cool. You know, an extra little point in your form change, I guess. Not all that important. But You see him now looking path possibly toward this mid lane, but sees that there's a control ward laid down, so can't really go from that angle. And well, Mission's been staying safe now with Destiny available too for his ultimate, and also maybe waiting on Bruce to get his ultimate, and then we might finally see a dive in this bot lane.
Yeah, definitely could see Mission rotate himself down there. Of course, getting some good vision around the top side of the map. We saw it before, well, we saw it yesterday rather, where you have just teams aggressively warding around the immediate area around mid, just to really get an idea of where the TF is moving and perhaps threatening an ultimate.
See Mission going around the side here, able to get that gold card, G4. Haymaker charged up, is going to go ahead and get himself a shield. Ryan also nearby, lands a spear onto the Twisted Fate, and now that does mean that Gemini has to back off, not able to finish off the kill, as the Raptor actually soaked up the spear for Gemini, but still forced the flash he sees.
G4 actually holding his flash there, very, very good, calm and collected disengage coming through from the Nova mid laner. Mission was at mana at the start of that, dropped the ignite for good measure, but there wasn't too much kill pressure anyway. But with forcing back G4, with noting that Ryan has rotated down after clearing his Raptor camp, it just opens up a path towards this Rift Herald pit for Gemini.
With that too, Gemini at least able to get something out of the trade. Ryan though, maybe looking for a play here on the bot side of the map. Unfortunate timing is Bruce already channeling that back and will get himself back to safety. Does allow, though, Nova to try and get aggressive. Meanwhile, top lane, Rocky. Koala, one auto, one more will do it. He makes it the flay. First blood going on to the Thresh.
Yeah, really good cleanup there coming through from Koala. Could have brought Gemini in as well, but they said, look, nah, you're fine, you can do this. Teleport is a little bit ambitious.
Bruce, though, gets himself back to safety. Unfortunately, now Golden Feet not able to do a whole lot. In comes Mission as well, trying to turn this one back, and they do. Bruce is able to find himself a kill. Ryan, though, needs to finish off this poor Varus, and he shall, but Mission picks himself up another here for Machi, as it's going to be a 2-for-1.
Yeah, the Senna's mana pool looks good now, but that's because Presence of Mind came through pretty clutch. Yeah, really, really difficult dive to actually kind of commit to there. Golden Feet was pretty low at the start of it. You would pop almost out of mana. And then, yeah, the spear going wide was just the cherry on top of an awful, awful cake for the side of Nova. But once you've gone in, you have to commit.
And we were kind of wondering, you didn't get to see the first bit of this trade here. It's just PK fully engaging and just having a little bit more in the stats. And Koala there, of course, finishing off the kill.
Nova really, really forced on this, but I guess you had to, simply because look at this TP. Look at this greedy TP. Senna not dealing damage at this point, literally trying to thread her way awkwardly through the minions. It's good proactivity from the side of Nova to really punish the fact that Machi had used a lot topside, but it's also kind of in that they committed so hard for a single kill.
And so far, they haven't been really able to do much else there. That's been the only real action that Nova's been able to find, and that's off what you could say being a mistake from Bruce, trying to get in there, trying to get a greedy teleport off, whereas, you know, Gemini hasn't paid any attention down to this bot lane, instead focusing on the objectives, trying to get a little bit of pressure back on Orion. Still has that Rift Herald in his back pocket, and now going to also have Ocean Soul in about 40 seconds.
So in Nova's defense, as a result of that kind of bot lane shenanigans, you now have a solid CS lead built up for Ryan, who of course is just because Gemini's been all over these neutral objectives, but also a solid CS kind of deficit being held by Golden Feet here. He was massively behind, he closed the gap a bit, and now he's not letting it grow too much. So the Maokai definitely on the board again, and perhaps then we'll see like the Flash Twisted advance onto a Varus that can't get away.
You see, though, Nova still getting damn aggressive down toward this bot lane, and also pathing G4 in from the mid lane into the river. Needs to get the priority if they want to onto the Drake, with it just spawning now, and that would be the Ocean's Drake if they want to take it. Instead, though, G4 wants to get that Facebreaker. Unfortunately, not able to get within range, as Mission gets out that gold card, prevents really the set from doing anything else.
Yeah, I would like to have seen Nova commit a little harder for that bot side play while the Destiny was on cooldown. That being said, though, if they can transition the pressure they've applied into something here, but the hook is here.
Golden Feet able to dodge away, actually, from the Varus ultimate. In comes Mission on the Twisted Fate. Meanwhile, though, Gemini is going to get taken on down as G4 and Ryan group up together, and Nova Actually able to trade this one back, but in comes PK.
PK.
Triple knock-up, not able to find a kill, but gets another one, and there you go. He goes in underneath the tower, and Pop is going to get taken on down. Ryan, though, does trade back a kill with the help of the tower, at least I think. Meanwhile, though, Bruce takes down Rocky. The Camille not able to finish it off. G4, though, will be able to clean up the Wukong. In the end, a 2, maybe 1 for 3 in favor of Machi.
So it was 2 for 3 because you saw the Gemini died at the start of that.
Yes,
but yeah, Machi coming out ahead in the long term. Good TP down from the Wukong. Good response from the Camille, but a little bit late because you see that Rocky actually walked to this fight, didn't TP. And then yeah, by the time the Camille enters, it's to clean up a Thresh who has Flash, who has Stopwatch, who has the rest of his team around him, and Nova. They commit, but they don't get much for it.
Yeah, unfortunately their Pop also kind of being the front line, not sticking back as the Senna, ends up getting gold carded, and though Nova are able to trade back, the 1 kill or so, unfortunately, that does mean now that Machi has themselves a 2,500 gold lead, and now priority onto this Drake, and they can start looking to stack up, as they'll take down this Ocean Drake, and then look towards either a Cloud or an Infernal. So.
And this is the Gemini that we saw back in MSS, where he's just on the board completely for the neutral objectives. Yes, so far his gank presence has been pretty poor. Yes, he tried to force a reactionary play there and got completely caught out for it. But also consider the fact that this guy has just got a Herald, 2 Drakes in the first 13.5 minutes of this game.
So now that jungle here from Ryan has been able to find himself 1 kill and 2 assists, but unfortunately, they have not been able to transition that into objectives, and is heavily relying on him to maybe being able to find these plays. I'll give it to G4, actually. Has found himself 2 kills. He's getting himself pretty beefed up. Still does take some decent damage from Mission if he's not careful, as looks like Machi just want to try and take down this tower in mid. G4 goes through the engage. A nice arrow, though, comes out, make that a spear, but the kick comes back from Gemini. He'll finish off the kills. G4 finally finds his first step.
Yeah, G4 being caught out there. It's the set. He's pretty bulky, but still really easy to be taken down at this stage of the game. We actually saw the Herald pop mid earlier while we were mid-replay, I believe, and that does mean that Machi, they have a little bit of health remaining on this mid-tier 1 from Nova, and they managed to get a sizable chunk of gold into both Mission and the Lee Sin's pockets.
We'll take a look here back. G4 just able to bring him in, and it's close here. Unfortunately, Ryan goes the other way, and that's a very late teleport to really do much there on the side of Nova.
Yeah, no W from the set, because he's just chain CC'd again and again and again. No ult either. Kind of clumsy from G4, but yeah, once you get chain CC'd by the pick comp, you're just going to get locked down pretty much permanently.
Back toward this top lane, it's been I'd say it's been rather quiet. They had that one tussle early on that went in favor of PK with the help of the rest of Machi, and Rocky's still kind of waiting before he can really actually start to get the ball rolling in this lane. Still on his way to a Trinity Force, as he's got himself the Phage as well as the Sheen. You saw there about a 3,000 gold lead so far for the first 15 minutes of the game in favor of Machi.
Yeah, a lot of early game proactivity from a team that, playing a scaling mid laner like the APTF with Rod of Ages in the pocket. A Varus that kind of got left in isolation while Koala tried to force plays across the map. A jungler exclusively focused on neutral objectives rather than ganking, and there he is again. Machi, they're playing their own game, but they're doing it pretty convincingly.
Yeah, that would allow Gemini to pick up his second Rift Herald of the game so far. Has been able to get prime control over the pits. And not really much response coming out from Nova, and I kind of have to ask, when are we going to see a response? When are we going to see them try and strike back here, as Machi have kind of just taken control of the map?
Yeah, Nova just kind of chilling out, just kind of saying, look, we have the late game win condition of the Senna, Maokai, plus the Camille. You're basically saying, look, Nidalee plus Set, please bridge this gap. But now you're currently seeing them with respectable score lines, but not really being able to do much.
You saw there, Bruce ends up popping the ultimate. In comes Mission, gold card into wild cards, making a piercing arrow too. Easy play for Machi.
Where's your team, Ryan?
They're still trying to push in the minions, as they weren't even underneath the tower.
Yeah, a little bit of an overextension coming through from the jungler of Nova there. Got a little bit too antsy to force a play onto a Varus with both ultimate and flash. And as well as that, TF just kind of lurking around, ready and waiting to clean you up once you do make a... He commits even though the spear misses! This is just bad from the jungler of Nova.
Well, you know, if you land that spear, you got to go in, all right? It's the simple rule of Nidalee, apparently. On top of that, too, they transitioned into the first brick gold. Actually, second tower they were able to take because they took down mid already. And now you got yourself a 5,000 gold lead for Machi. And, all right, well, Machi, they say, we might not let this game go to the late game for you on the side of Nova if you're a fan.
Definitely do have to... Cool. Okay, wait. Sorry, I was just looking up.
What interesting stat do you have for me?
Aha! There we go. No, it's just the fact that Nidalee's Cougar abilities, they still only rank up when you rank up the ultimate. So it's not just an extra point for stats or whatever, it's actually legitimate things that perhaps we should have seen the Nidalee wait for. Like, yeah, level 11, an important breakpoint, but also... Okay, Rod of Ages Nidalee, and you're going to complete the Rod of Ages at 20 minutes.
So that means that's going to be stacked until 30.
Okay, we said the Camille was the scaling option, we said the Maokai was the scaling option. Senna also very, very heavy on the scaling.
Scaling Nidalee now coming into factor.
Yeah.
And that is the groan of just disapproval from a Briz. G4?
I mean, yeah.
Gets hooked in. They get themselves maybe a pick on Koala, but no follow-up on the side of Nova. And this has kind of been the trend. People are able to get like a pick, and there's 5 members of Nova, but they aren't even able to like burst down a Thresh.
Yeah, definitely the case for now. Nova playing the investment game, G4 lurking, trying to get either a sick in-set kind of set ultimate, or just get the Wukong out of the fight.
Here we go, Gemini even popping down the Rift Herald mission, goes for a little bit of a cruise there with his Destiny, pops the Ghost, trying to get within a little bit range. Golden Feet's taking a decent amount of damage actually from the Dragon as well as the harass from Bruce. 3,000 health back onto the Drake. Rift Herald popping in mid, so they gotta make a play happen. Wukong ultimate, and just a bouncy castle, in comes the damage, and finally, who's gonna go down? It's PK, but in the meantime, Ryan will fall on the Nidalee. No jungle available for the side of Nova. Gold card lands once again onto G4. Haymakers there, but it's just not enough to keep him safe, and Machi gained control of the Dragon.
Senna team comps take a long while to clear out these neutral objectives, and you're seeing exactly why there. No attack speed, no consistent auto-attack damage. In fact, with Maokai plus Set as your kind of front line and a Camille that's, you know, not really relevant right now, it's the Nidalee pretty much soloing the Drake at this point, and that's why it takes a solid 30 seconds to kill. That's why by the time Nova are, you know, fully committed to it, it's only at half health. It means Machi can move in like this. And even though this fight looked somewhat promising, because, you know, you get a good hook on Bruce, you get into the back line, it's not enough for Nova to really pull out a win here.
Yeah, and on top of that too, during this entire fight, they also put down the Rift Herald on the side of Machi, so they had to realize, all right, well, we're going to lose out on our second tier tower. At least it got chunked down pretty low. They also lose out on members. And in the end, Machi are also able to claim the Dragon, and now we're just one Drake away from Infernal Soul, in which now the damage would also spike, and it's starting to look a little desperate here on the side of Nova.
At least Ryan has his Rod of Ages.
Hey, one stack, 9 minutes. This Nidalee will be online, all right? You said you wanted scaling here on Nova. Little did you know he was just going to come from the wrong position in your mind.
Nice. Yeah, Death's Dance on the menu for Rocky here, by the way. Once that's completed, I said 2 items was the breakpoint for the Camille into the Wukong. So, yeah, should expect to see the Camille start to do something pretty sharpish in an ideal world. But right now, of course, Nova really struggling. Nidalee, by the way, we criticized the Roa build, most rich member of this lineup.
Hey, has been part of most kills. Now, to be fair, he also dove underneath mid-tier tower. Unfortunately got caught out, so though he has been aggressive, sometimes a little over-aggressive. That's shown in his 1-3 score line. Second-tier tower in bot lane, though, is going to be picked up by Machi, opening up to a 7,000 gold lead. You can see there, Ryan has to back off. You have double lethality items complete online for Bruce, so this Varus Piercing Arrow is going to start doing some decent chunks of damage if you're not careful. And also a fully stacked Roa and Lichbane online for Mission.
Yeah, this TF's getting pretty big, and the fact that... Oh, okay. Yeah, the fact Nova's bulkier members are just exclusively itemizing for armor is a little bit worrying if Mission continues on this upward trajectory. One wildcard to the face, and that's a solid quarter, if not more, of the health bar of even some of these more bulkier members of Nova.
Yeah, G4, he's just continued to rush armor at this point, and it's just going to be this TF that comes out with a gold card, and will be able to chunk ya pretty heavily. Does have that Haymaker shield, but still, shouldn't be relying on that all the time. Meanwhile, Golden Feet. This Maokai, I was wondering what's going to happen with this Maokai. He's Righteous Glory, so you can run at you really fast, lay down the ultimate, put down the CST. Still a little bit before Pop, though, really starts to come online with this Senna.
Yeah, in an ideal world, you just get on top of the Varus, lock him down, and kind of set up the rest of the team to kill him, but where's the damage going to come from? Yeah, hopefully Nidalee does follow up, but then factor in that Thresh is peeling, you have the rest of this Machi frontline to worry about as well, and yeah, Nova, it's going to take a miracle at this point. You need a good Senna Snare into a good Spear, into a good, I don't know, full combo from everyone else.
And you also got to hope that PK isn't on the Wukong and your backline using Cyclops. Because, like, we have not really seen a full team fight outside of that one Dragon fight where PK was just able to disrupt so much of Nova's plan. Sure, Rocky's at a sideline getting solo gold. He also mentioned, hey, that Death Stance, what you're expecting, actually had to go for the team match, so he has a little bit extra wave push, wave clear. So still going to be a tiny while before he can get himself into that 2-item break point where he can go toe-to-toe with PK.
Yeah, still waiting for the side lane kind of skirmish I was promised. The 1v1 hasn't really been super impactful so far, but that being said, if you do take a 1v1 as the Camille, you risk getting a TF to the face when the rotations do start to come through from Machi again. Machi, though, they're looking pretty good right now. Pushed out bot lane, pushed out top lane. I guess they're going to use that to get some mid-prio, push aggressive vision around the Dragon Pit, and then look for an early Dragon Soul before the 25-minute mark.
And that's also Infernal Soul, which for like members like having Bruce on a Varus as well as a Twisted Fate, that's just going to continue to lay out wildcards. That's going to start doing some decent damage over to Nova, and it looks like they've lost a little bit of priority. Bot lane at least is pushing in their favor, but you can see Ryan, he's kind of having to skirt around. Did at least get the scuttle, but Machi aren't afraid here. Brought in 4 members as they can look for a play, as well as PK still in that bot lane clearing out waves.
This is a similar scenario to yesterday, where we see a team that has like a pick-ish comp just fall behind completely to the point where they can't 5v5 at all. If you're ever in a position where you can't take a 5v5 versus a TF plus lethality Varus, something has gone horribly wrong for you during the early game. That being said though, while both these teams do dance around the neutral objectives, not really doing much, it's buying time for the Nidalee Roa to stack up, and it's, you know, getting everyone in an okay position to follow up on this fight. Ooh, pretty good spear.
You know, good spear. Pretty fixated now on this Roa from the Nidalee from Ryan. I don't know if you're a
5
fan
stacks.
5 stacks, halfway there. Gold efficiency increasing literally by the minute. Machi, though, they're able to do some decent poke coming out from their squad. And it's forcing Ryan to have to back off. Ryan's still on this Nidalee, can find some good spears over the wall if Machi aren't careful. Rocky's actually rejoined on the fight. That's 5 members. In comes the Righteous Glory. Golden Feet going to go along for the ride. Bruce gets brought into the middle of the pit, but you can see the team is just separated. G4 ends up getting pulled on back, knocked around.
PK.
Haymaker finally comes out. Decent amount of damage into the showstopper, onto the back line. Still not going to be enough damage. PK now also going to take down the Maokai. Tree gets cut down, and Machi should be able to sustain the soul.
And that was a huge commitment onto Koala, who then cleanses himself of the Crucible, gets himself out of there, and Machi, while the entire lineup of Nova were focused on their support, they find backline access, they find a cool flank into the fight from Mission as well, and suddenly Nova, even if they try to force a pick onto one of the more vulnerable members of this Machi lineup, unable to really do anything with it and just fold under the pressure.
Let's take a look back here. Bruce unfortunately kind of gets brought in closer to a Maokai, but You can see Nova, there's like 3 different fronts they're trying to fight on, and they're all just separated apart, not able to lay down damage onto a single target.
PK just in the backline by himself, zoning everybody out. And Nova never really in a position to fight. Really, really clumsy that they hard commit with the Maokai onto the Thresh with a cleanse. Not a great look for Nova and their chances at winning this one out. Camille, of course, building the Ravenous Hydra does mean Rocky's still a side lane threat, but at the same time, the 1v1 that I was kind of promised, out of the picture at this point.
G4, nice face breaker, brings back the team. Unfortunately, here's 4 members around him, and Haymaker already used. Oh, beautiful kick coming out from Gemini, though. Able to find the knockup. Maokai ultimate's there, but it's way too late. PK as well, teleporting in. Second tier tower going in favor of Machi.
Yeah, Pop a little bit late on the rotation too, but it's a Senna. What's she gonna do? Not a lot of anything, really. Machi, they get a pick onto the enemy mid-jungle. They're able to rotate that to a Baron, you have to imagine. And with Infernal Soul in pocket, that means that the big buffs will be in favor of Machi, and they should be able to close this one out.
And unfortunately, I think for Nova, they are dead in the water at this point. It's still a long time before Pop really comes online. Still sitting on only an item and a half, and Baron now secured by Machi as they can look to try and close this out, or at least start taking down inhibitor towers.
Yeah, G4 should never really be in this position. It's similar to a criticism we had of his Orianna, where we said, look, the Baron's the only neutral objective on the board. It means the enemy team are going to be topside because it's the only place they should be. And the fact you're pushing up that far to go greed for a single wave is going to result in you getting dropped there. That being said, I don't think G4 expected to just get completely smashed out, because he is pretty tanky. But yeah, end of the day, really, really rough position for the Nova mid and jungle duo to be in.
He's tanky at least to the physical damage, but Mission can still chunk him out pretty good here. Still only now just picking up Cloak for a little bit of MR, as he's, I'm going to guess, working into a Gargoyles. As, Golden Feet on the run. Wants to try and take down Mission. Gold card comes out immediately into the Lantern. Not going to be there as Mission now goes golden. But guess what? The rest of Machi just around the corner. And they cannot take down this single TF with all the resources being pulled in. PK finds a kill. It's a double kill for Bruce. Make it another here for Mission. Unstoppable. Porting in toward the base. Looking for that final member of Nova as they look for the siege.
Yeah, the 0 damage comp from the side of Nova really hammering it home. You have the scaling supportive build from the Nidalee, you have a Camille that never really came online, a set mid, and a bot lane that couldn't do anything. Machi, they win a fight, they win another fight, they win another fight, and they will go on to win this game.
And unfortunately for Nova, it will not be an undefeated week 3. They fall here to Machi, as Machi clean house with their first victory of the 2 today in day 2.
Machi, honestly, came into this as the favorites and showed you exactly why. They said, look, Nova, you had a beautiful start to week 3, but that is not enough to take us down. Really worrisome about the draft from Nova there, but hey, if there ever was a time to experiment, it would be in the first round robin. Cool, nice. They got a couple of crucial wins yesterday, so yeah, okay, they can afford to make a mistake here and there, but that game wasn't even close. That's not a good feeling to review. That's not a good feeling to look at. That's just... The enemy jungler was playing a gank-heavy jungler and not ganking. He was getting neutral objective after neutral objective.
Yeah,
that is never a good look.
That was the objective Lee Sin play coming out from Gemini. He just had full map control. Wasn't he actually going to the lanes? To be honest, though, he didn't really have to. We saw Ryan try and at least make an impact toward bot, but then he got it greeted for a couple kills. They got caught out getting a little bit too aggressive before that teleport play, and we just never found that there was any action from the bot lane of Nova. And unfortunately, we've even criticized this. We mentioned this back in week 2. These scaling compositions just don't seem to work out for Nova's playstyle from what we want to see out of them.
Yeah, absolutely does kind of put a bit of a damper on the mood for Nova after a beautiful start to week 3. They have such a volatile, such a great early game, and then they pick a kind of comp that says, look, let's scale it. They pick items that say, look, let's scale it. They pick for a side of the map and play for a side of the map that they're not necessarily used to playing around. And yeah, just Nova, if there was a word for that game, it would be uncomfortable.
I think that's fair to say. Yeah, it doesn't feel great when you finish your row at 20 minutes and the Nilly's still waiting for the 10 stack row at 30.
The game finished before the 10 stack came through.
Yeah,
29 minutes on the clock.
Yeah. 1 stack away. Maybe that was the break point, though. Let's go ahead and take a look toward the Dragon Fight highlight where the call was being made here by, I believe it was Nova that wanted to go in.
This was like 20 seconds of Nova's entire team
Yep.
free casting on the Drake, and it's only at half health. Yeah, it looked okay. Like, you get a beautiful center ult, you get a nice, pick up onto hopefully a Wukong. He does get the backline ult off though, and that buys enough time for the rest of Machi just to collapse here. You're seeing Nova not really have any damage for neutral objectives, not really have any damage for fights. And yeah, regardless of how prolonged that was, they're still not dealing any damage.
Yeah, and unfortunately there too for Nova. They couldn't even
What is
kill
this
Mission.
pose, man?
I don't know, man. Again,
Is it an M for Machi?
We have established here, Briz, we don't choose the poses for these players. They choose their own poses for MVP, all right?
It does kind of look like the Machi logo.
Is that what you're hoping for? Who knows? Who knows? But in the end, it feels bad when you can't even kill the Twisted Fate when you invested, what, it was like 3-4 ultimates coming out of Nova in that last team fight, and they still couldn't take him down. Yeah, it's a pretty tough one. I've been told it is in fact the Machi sign. There you go,
See?
Briz. There you go. You got to
Read
read
it
the
like a
player.
book. Yeah,
Oh,
see?
boy.
Excellent.
But we do have
that
an
being said,
interview
though,
with Mission, as well as we're going to send it over to Patty.
OK， 那想要请问一下，因为上个礼拜好像你们队伍遇到了一些乱流，那在这个礼拜的话，你们是怎么做调整？
So last week, it seems like your team was having some issues. And you're doing pretty well today. So what kind of changes you guys made in between?
就我们一开始状态不是很好，然后就是可能有点松散吧，然后就是做的改变就是我们练习量变多，然后可能会看更多的比赛去了解更多的东西。
So last week, I think we're just more relaxed. So we didn't do as much practices. So because we didn't perform well, so we went to watch more practices and practice more over the weekend.
好的，那今天在 BP 的时候呢，对手再次祭出了久违的5 ban 东山。那想要请问，到底要 ban 几 ban 才能够 ban 完你的角色呢？
So your opponent 5 banned you today, but you still won the laning phase. How many bans do we need to ban off all the champions that you know how to play?
因为上一季就是春季季后赛就是被5杯，然后就是变成拿有点没有那么熟悉的角色来玩，然后这一次就是想说，可能对方还是有可能会5杯，所以我练比较多的英雄。
So last season during the playoffs, I was 5 banned from my opponent, and I had to play some champions I'm not used to. So in this season, I decided to train myself with more champions so I can use them when my opponent 5 banned me.
那紧接着想要问的就是在本季啦，可以看到在数据上面，中路的伤害占比算是渐渐的降低，然后反倒是Machi下半部的伤害占比是越来越高。可以想要请问一下，就是你们有做出什么样的调整吗？
So this season, the mid lane damage percentage has lowered. So I want to know what kind of changes did Machi make in that perspective?
因为上一季最主要都是玩阿奇的库奇，所以伤害会偏高很多。然后这一季的中路 meta 比较像是逆命啊，然后加里欧这种的，就是比较偏功能性，所以输出就会相对偏低。
So last season in the mid lane, we played champions more like Corki or Azir, and those champions are more carrier champions. So, and this season, they're more used to tilty champions. So I play more Twisted Fate, that kind of champions. That's why the damage percentage in the mid lane is lowered.
OK， 那也恭喜东山你们拿下今天的胜利，当然也感谢翻译的 Patty 这个东山。
You can unmute yourself, Opal, and then you can say this point. There you go. Of course, Mission, he says, hey, you know what? 5 bans, that don't matter. We don't care about those 5 bans. It doesn't matter in the end. So, congratulations over to Machi for claiming the victory. We are, though, going to go ahead and take a short break, and when it comes back, it is going to be J-Team, once again, taking on Liab from the Philippines.
CTBC Bank is Taiwan's top financial institution, but we're not stopping there. We're crafting an international brand and already have over 260 outlets in 14 countries. We are by your side, ready to embrace the future.